Good afternoon, everyone. Today, when we're taping this is actually June 1st. You'll be seeing it probably on June 2nd, but welcome to H season. We don't like to really talk about that H word, but indeed it is June 1st and the beginning of the H season. So I'm glad to be with you on a beautiful day, and thanks to Jan for the beautiful bougainvilleas here. Beautiful color. And I'm going to turn it, as I usually do, over to Steve, who will start us off with prayer.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. Let's pray. God, it seems like it's enough to have to deal with this pandemic and not to deal with hurricanes and other things that come along. There's only so much we can take, Lord, and we ask you to give us strength to move through. But we ask you to bless the staff that serves us so well, and the residents who volunteer their times and efforts to make this a livable situation. We ask you to continue with us through the weeks ahead. We pray through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Hi.
Well, hi, voice.
Hi. Well, voice, what have you got on your mind today? I just saw the report about majority rules. That's very exciting. Exciting, yeah. I understand there were 8 groups. How many people were in a group? Well, 6 or 7 or so. Wait a minute. How many people are in Westminster Shores? Well, there's about 250. So only 50 got into groups? What was wrong with the other 200? Well, I wouldn't say there's something wrong with them. They just don't listen to you, do they? Well, they each have their own ideas and whether they want to participate and whether they don't. And I guess they didn't want to go to the effort to find 6 or 7 more people that they could work with. You mean there are 200 people living here who don't have any friends at all? That's lonely. Well, no, I don't mean they don't have friends. It's just that they didn't take the effort to put it to a group. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of work. Got to pick up a phone, dial in, donk, say hello, and say how about coming. Oh, man, they must be exhausted. No, I don't. You're just making fun of it, but they, for their own reasons, they didn't feel like getting together, but we got 8 groups that did get together. Yeah, but what about those other 200? Were they lost forever? No, they're not lost. And in fact, later on today, we're going to show how the new groups could join if they want to. Wow, 200 people. They must be really busy. They don't even have time to get together with their friends. Man, Lynn, maybe you better speak to those very lonely, very busy people. I'll let you go ahead.
Thank you, voice. Every one of these town hall meetings, we've been trying to have a special guest. And today our special guest is Eva Marisha. So she will inform you about what her job's about, and here you go, Eva.
Hi, I'm Eva Marisha. Take the mask down. And I am the administrative assistant to Lynn, our executive director. And I also manage the front desk of about 6 or 7 receptionists. I'm what you call Lynn's gatekeeper. So people come into the office, they have questions, they want to make appointments, phone calls. Basically, you kind of have to get through me a little bit. So, and then I'm also a notary, so if you need anything notarized, you can come to me. Sometimes making an appointment is good because we have meetings, a lot of meetings sometimes. Also, I do basic copying for residents. As long as it's not like a 50-page novel, I'm pretty good. Packages and postage, I do that for residents, as long as it's less than 5 pounds for packages, because then it's kind of heavy to pick up a 40-pound package. But I do that, and then it is charged to your account, so you don't have to worry about any cash. I handle the ad valorms that all of you love so much, and now it is H season. So, and if some of you are new and not sure what H season is, it is hurricane season.
Oh,
And
gee, hurricane.
Yes.
Whoa.
And just to let you know, there's forms that were put in your cubbies last month already, and many of you are past due. So I would greatly appreciate it if you can get me your hurricane forms and your medical forms as soon as possible. All this has to go into a database. So we're a little behind the 8 ball, but if you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it.
Good job, Eva. See you later. I'll call for an appointment.
Thank you, Eva.
You're welcome.
All right. I usually bring you up to date with some statistics. I was on a Zoom call a short while ago with all of the leadership in Westminster communities of Florida. And Gary Hennis, our COO, usually updates us with the number of cases in Florida. Currently today, there are 56,830 cases. And deaths in Florida is about 2,500. So very sobering numbers. I want you to know that I watch the numbers that are sent to me from the 9 counties that make up the Tampa Bay area. And the numbers are not going down yet. So please be diligent and do exactly what you're doing, because I'm happy to say that here at Westminster Shores, we have no COVID cases. We have had no COVID cases since this started, and we continue on with that. That's a great place to be. Also, in Westminster communities of Florida, like I told you, last week there are about 7,000 residents in all of our communities, and currently there are no COVID cases, and there is no one even recovering from COVID. As we had those 5 cases previously over the last 2 months, everyone is recovered, everyone is back home, no one is on quarantine anymore, so that's also very good news. Mm-hmm. We have had some cases in Westminster where some staff have been exposed to COVID, and they are quarantined for 14 days. I want you to know that we still have had no staff layoffs, which is a wonderful thing for our staff, because they continue to keep the benefits that they had and their salaries. But we have asked staff in the past if they have 2 jobs, that we need to know where their second job is. We asked them if they would choose between their other job and this job during this pandemic time, so that we are not cross-contaminating germs from another employer to us here at the Shores. We're particularly careful for people who work at other long-term care settings, other senior communities. There are 2 people, actually, who have jobs at other senior communities who we are not permitting back to work here, because those senior communities have experienced COVID cases. We do not want those people bringing COVID here to our residents, so those staff members are not allowed to come back here at this point. They are still working at their other jobs, though. Wanted to let you know that the salon's open in case you haven't seen it. Actually, the other night I was leaving about 9 o'clock and they were still going strong in the salon. So I know they're open from about 8 or 8:30 in the morning and still going strong at 9 o'clock at night. So if you need appointments, we ask that you do not go there and stand and wait for an appointment, because we are allowing only one stylist and one resident in the salon at a time. We ask that they both are wearing masks. Sometimes that's a little difficult depending on what's happening with your hair. If you're getting a perm or a color, you may just have to hold the mask in front of your face, because your ears get a little too close to the hair they're trimming or coloring. So we understand that you need to hold the mask on your face at times during that process, but only one stylist, only one resident, and masks must be worn. And please do not come to the salon to try to make an appointment. I keep getting asked about COVID testing. My understanding is that the Florida Department of Health is reaching out. I heard this week, well, last week it is now, that the Florida Department of Health is reaching out to those communities that have experienced COVID cases first, but then they're following up alphabetically and going to each community and testing their staff. We are W, so I imagine it's going to be a while till they get to Westminster Shores, but they are expected to come here and test our staff. I've heard of one community where they actually tested residents as well, but the other communities, and there are 3 or 4 within Westminster, that they did test only staff members. So we will wait on those testings. There are some free COVID testing sites that we know of. If you need to know where they are, we have a list posted in the office. There's also a list that Randy has, and also Eve Borden, the HR director, has a list as well. So if you're looking to get yourself tested, you can check with us and we can let you know where those free testing sites are. Hurricane preparation. I have heard from many residents in the last week asking about hurricane preparation. And why did I say last time on the town hall that indeed independent living residents should be seeking their own evacuation plans? This is because it is a new day. Last time we evacuated in 2017, we did not have a pandemic going on. We did not have imposed rules and expectations from the CDC or the Florida Department of Health or the governor or Westminster communities. We are expecting that all independent living residents will evacuate by themselves. I know that is a hardship for some residents, and we will try to put together a list of hotels that would be in non-evacuation zones so that people might have a reference or a resource to call if they indeed wanted to call and make a reservation at a hotel. Again, we are praying really hard that we will not have any H's this year, but we are working really hard on this, and it is because of the COVID-19 situation. We may not have this again in 2 years from now, but it happens to be this year. If a hurricane comes along and we are still experiencing the pandemic and all the restrictions that we have, our duty is to take care of those who are most vulnerable, which are the assisted living residents. That's why we're asking residents now, as I've been asking since February, to please make your plans to evacuate away from us. We are reaching out to Pinellas County because the last time we had a hurricane in 2017, Governor Scott mandated that all nursing homes and all assisted living facilities have in place generators that will keep a cool temperature. Well, we have the generator in place now, and we want to hear from Pinellas County if they will indeed consider that, knowing that this is also a pandemic time and we are supposed to keep people at a minimum of 6 feet away from each other. and masked, as well as take care of people who are most vulnerable. So we are reaching out to Pinellas County to see if they will reevaluate our evacuation status. I do not have any news on that yet. I will update you when I do have news, but for right now, we are still asking independent living residents to seek other shelter. Camp Ithiel is still available to us. The reason I am not saying that we will escort residents to Camp Ithiel is I have to have it as an alternate site for assisted living. Depending on where the hurricane comes and if we have to get off the peninsula here, we may be taking assisted living residents to Camp Ithiel. So I can't say that it's available to independent living residents at this point. Like I said, I'm trying to work things out with the county. Things are up in the air right now. There are no definites. So we just keep praying that we won't experience a hurricane this year. Masks. Masks are expected. And if you see people without masks, I need to know about it because we need to ask that they keep their mask available and wear it while on campus. Likewise, staff members, I've been hearing some residents say that they see some staff members without masks. That's not acceptable either. So we will be about reminding people about wearing masks while you're on campus. Another thing I'm asking is that everyone who uses the pool, and I know there are some people who are very glad that the pool is open and available again, but that you follow the pool rules. They're on display at both of the pools. Take a minute to read them next time you go over there. And one of the pool rules is to make sure that you shower before you get in the pool. So please stick to all the rules that are posted for the pool. We also have some residents who are going out to the emergency room because they're experiencing some kind of health condition. If you come back from the emergency room, you will need to quarantine for 14 days. That's because the emergency rooms and the hospitals are one of the most dangerous places in the county, mostly because people go there because they're sick and they may have COVID. So we ask that when you come back, you quarantine for 14 days. I understand that is not pleasant, but it's to protect everyone around you. Also, when you come back, make sure that you're bringing discharge paperwork. Usually says how long you're supposed to take a certain medication, or if you're able to get up and walk around, or if you need assistance. We need that discharge paperwork so we can make sure that you are provided with everything that's going to keep you healthy. Along with the discharge paperwork, since we are experiencing this pandemic, the hospitals are supposed to discharge you with a COVID-19 piece of paper. Part of that COVID-19 paper will say that you came to the hospital and you had no symptoms for COVID, and therefore they did not test you because you are exhibiting no symptoms. The other part of that paper says that indeed you were tested for COVID-19 and what the test results are. So when you arrive back here at the shores, that you can provide us with that paperwork so that we know either they did not test you because you had no symptoms, or they did test you and indeed the test results are right there. So we really appreciate that you come back and you have that discharge paperwork with you. One reminder about housekeeping, that housekeeping is now back to pretty full service, and indeed they're there to help you with bed making if that's what you require. What we require is that you take your linens off the bed and put them in a bag or put them right in your washing machine. But the staff cannot be taking those bed linens off and holding them up against themselves And then what they're doing is they're taking whatever germs, be they good germs or not so good germs, from you onto the next person that they're cleaning their unit. So you must remove the linens off of your bed. I have had questions this week about what if I die during this pandemic? What will happen? Well, first of all, I hope that doesn't happen to you. And if you're concerned about your paperwork, I would say now is a really good time, since there is not the same type of activity level and trips and everything happening at the shores, that you get together the paperwork that your responsible party, your power of attorney, your children, your loved one, may indeed need, if indeed you would pass during this pandemic. This is where the rumor mill is strong at the shores. Every topic that I get to present to you often has some rumors spreading around it, and this is no exception. One of the things to know for sure, and it's in your contract, is that you have 30 days, not you, but your responsible party or your power of attorney or your loved ones, have 30 days to clean out your apartment. That has not changed. What has changed because of this pandemic is that we don't allow visitors on our campuses. So we cannot say that, your 2 daughters and son and their spouses and their children can all come and stay in your apartment to clean out the apartment. We don't know where those people have been. We don't know the touches that they have made in the community and whether or not they've been exposed to COVID-19. Currently, as of today, and what happens in my world is things change every day. But as of today, that there will be allowed one person that may come into your unit for the day. And that person can decide which pieces of furniture want to be kept by the family and to make moving arrangements to get those out. What pieces of furniture you'd like to donate, and also time to go through your paperwork to find out the necessary pieces of paper that you need them to use to represent you. So that's why I recommend that you go through that paperwork now. You find a place in your unit that you can tell your loved ones where that paperwork and those important documents are, so that they will have ready access to them if something should happen. And I don't want anything to happen to all of you, any of you, during this pandemic. We're doing really well so far, and we hope that we can continue on with this. Also, I heard in relation to this topic that the Shores is going to be packing up your things. That's not true. I don't have enough staff to pack up people's things, so that's not indeed the case. There are other details. We recently had someone not pass but move to Bradenton, and that family requested, because they one child lives in the Northeast, the other child lives in Texas, they weren't able to get here, that we took pictures and helped them by deciding what needed to go to a storage locker and what pieces needed to go along to Bradenton, so that the family can come several months from now and look through that furniture and decide what they would like to keep or what they would like to donate. Every situation is different. We work really hard to work with every one of you and the situation that is presented at the time. We try hard not to disappoint you. We try hard to make things work for the best for you and for your family. No one is here trying to make anything miserable or harder for you. Just know that it's a different day and we have to do things a different way. And we wish we didn't have to, but unfortunately we have to make plans like that.
Lynn, let me ask a clarifying question on
Sure.
what you're doing. I understand you're saying the staff can't pack it up. Can they hire a moving system?
Yes.
So they can hire a moving group, and how are they checked so that they aren't bringing stuff in?
We've had people move in, we've had people move out since this COVID-19 started. The movers have to come here to the front desk and be screened just like anybody else. They have to wear masks, they have to maintain social distance, and we expect that will happen if you want things moved out, or if your responsible party wants things moved out, that we would work with that moving company or whatever.
And leftovers can still be left for the estate sale?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, yeah.
And it will be the responsibility of the family to say if they want things left for an estate
Yeah.
sale. But if the things don't get sold in the estate sale, then it is the family's responsibility to work on donating those things away from here, away from the shore. So,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
sure. All right, and last, I wanted to I guess I should go through the questions first. This is a question about Camp Ithiel, and indeed, is it available? That's kind of up in the air, as I described before. I'm keeping it, and they are welcoming to us, but I'm not sure if I need it for assisted living or not at this point. We're still getting, like Eva said, the paperwork back from independent living residents, but we're also expecting paperwork back from our assisted living family members to determine which residents are going home with families or which residents are evacuating with us for assisted living. So I don't have a clear answer on that, but we'll keep talking about that. There was a question about Bay Breeze not having the correct address when it opened, and we will work hard that Sunrise Point will have the correct address so that we don't have this mix-up when Sunrise Point opens. But thank you for that heads up. I appreciate it. This is, again, a question about if an independent living resident dies during the pandemic, what access will the family have? And the information I just gave you was the most recent information I have. By next week, when we're taping this town hall meeting, that may have changed again. I will keep you up to date on whatever news that I have. Evacuation for all independent living residents are now supposed to be the responsibility of the resident. Yes, indeed. Is this going to be the same way for future evacuations? I don't know that. I know there are many communities within Westminster that do not take independent living residents to an evacuation site. We did last time, back in 2017 when Irma came through. I do not know what the future will hold. I'm just talking about right now in this pandemic, because we have not had a pandemic and an evacuation at the same time before. And I'm hoping we just get through the pandemic and don't have to evacuate. Again, this is about independent living residents, about being on their own, and was this correct? There are many single people and non-drivers, and what should we do? I would say try to talk to some of the other people who are in a similar situation and see if possibly you could get hotel rooms in the same area that you could take some groceries along and maybe have some meals that way. That's the best that I can offer. I know a resident came to me and said that they were concerned about leaving the shores and getting on the road, and what if they run out of gas? I would say that as soon as you see what they call those spaghetti strings that they show on the news all the time, and if something looks like it has a chance of coming up our direction, I would get on the road then. Be packed and ready to go as soon as you hear that there might be a hurricane coming our way. And get, as they say, get out of Dodge and go north and go west and see something different and new and be out of harm's way. When will swimming exercises classes begin? That was just on my conference call about an hour ago, and they're expecting that within the next few weeks they will begin initiating the aqua aerobics classes again. This is again a question about independent living residents needing to evacuate on their own. They are saying that marketing did tell them that they would be having a place to go. I'm sorry that you received that information, because that certainly isn't our message that we can take everyone, because if we would have to take 300 residents of assisted living and independent living residents, we certainly would have nowhere to go unless we go to the convention center or somewhere. And every other community is in the same boat. That's why it's difficult this year because of a pandemic and keeping social distancing. That's why this year is different. Is it possible to put the advisory council minutes and each committee's minutes on MyWLife? So I will ask that question, if we can do that. It would be easier for residents to stay up to date on those kind of things. Also, on MyWLife, it's not regularly maintained and doesn't always have current information on it. I will bring that up to the leadership team, because they should be keeping their department's icon up to date. And will the clock at the new pool be replaced? It's greatly missed. Yes, indeed it will be. What happened was the clock that was put out there went through batteries and batteries and batteries like it shouldn't have. So we are going to be replacing it with a different clock. So those are the questions. And I just have to say, I become overwhelmed with all that you do all the time, and then you turn around and you say thank you. And my team is working very hard to do everything they possibly can for you. And I thank you for those words of encouragement. I thank you for abiding by all the precautions. I know it's not fun. I don't think it's fun either. But the reason we are COVID-free is because of all of you and what you do every day. So thank you for that. And also thank you for the funnies. I share them with my leadership team, and sometimes that's the only chuckle I get in a day, but I do appreciate getting those funnies from you on the email. They do make my day some days. And that's what I have. Steve, do you have anything else?
I do. I have the winners of the Majority Rules contest. And first of all, we do have 8 groups.
Yay.
And Mark's going to turn the screen so that you can see them on the list there. The Jambalayas, the Having Fun on the Bayou Jambalaya group. The Sandbaggers. The 4 Immigrants plus 4. I guess the immigrants married a non-immigrant. I don't know, but anyway. The North Wingers. I skipped over the Bay Geezers. The North Wingers. The Allen Allies. The Marvelous Masked Members. And the No Name Group. And the winner is the Bay Geezers.
Woo.
But they only won by 1 point. So on the second phase, you could get ahead. And by the way, I'd also mention that one group did indeed involve somebody from assisted living over the phone and got their vote in. And so they got 3 extra points. That didn't put them on top, but it put them in second place.
Wow.
And there were 2 or 3 tied for second place. But it's possible. And the voice asked whether it was too late for you to get in. It's not too late. What we want to do is have you get some groups together, and what will happen is if you get a group together, then you call Jan Radden,
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jan Radden, and tell her who their leader is, a recorder, and she'll get the questions. And we debated this, but we'll give you the first set of questions and let you go through them and report. But the babies or geezer or whatever. Geezers are still winners, but you'll move up in terms of the overall thing. And then we'll give you the second set of questions. But the second set of questions, you're hearing this on Tuesday, needs to be voted on and turned in by Saturday. And then she'll put them together like she did this time. and they'll be announced in the next meeting like this. We're going to do this 3 times. So you got 2 more sets to do. And by the way, if you want to know what the words were that won, I'm going to read you a paragraph that has every word in it. Team members enjoyed watching old movies while wearing their comfy sweats, which were purple, all the while missing football games because they opted instead to see Lynn and Mr. Clean, who tied for the best hairdo. And they made a successful new recipe of prime rib from a recipe book by a new author so that they could serve it to their caring neighbors. I hope you got all that, but that was the winners of the words. And you are invited to find 5 or 6 residents, pull them together as a group. If you can get them together, and then you call Jan or me, and we will make sure that you get the questions in time for you to work through with your group. And again, if you get an assisted living person on the phone or something that you can work with, that adds 3 more points to your overall total so that you're moving up the scale. And I think it's June 22nd we'll be filming the end product of the 3 phases, and we'll do the overall winner. And we're going to invite the chair of that, or the recorder of that group, to come, and then we will present them with the fruit basket, which they can take back to their group and enjoy the good times together. But again, I encourage you, this is to have fun. And yeah, I'd have loved to have had more than 50 people, but I'm delighted we had 50 people doing it. And I think that there's another 100 out there anyway who could figure out how to get together with some other people. And so I hope by next time we'll have even more. And after we get used to this, we could probably do some other things that would bring this community interacting together and break out of the sense of isolation and even moments of despondency and help each other. I will tell you, as a personal person, remember I told you all about how silly I was with the microwave and ruining the food. I've had 3 people call me up and suggest different ways I can do this. They really felt good. And the other day I had somebody who needed some help on some little technology things that I don't know a lot about, but I knew about that one. I was able to go over and help them. It made me feel good. So when you ask someone to help you, you're not only getting the help, you're making them feel useful, worthwhile, and good. And at this point in time, we need to be reminded of that all the time. So I'm delighted that you joined. If you did join, I'm delighted. If you didn't, you will get on the phone or see people and form your group. And that regardless of whether you do that, you will celebrate with us the groups that did do it, and then we'll go on from there and do new things. So thank you for being who you are and for participating as much as you do. Anything else?
No. Just have a wonderful week, and we'll share more news next week.